Boogeyman Jarvis, who is the reigning world champion of ice cream eating. 1 gallon, 9 ounces in 12 minutes. Ate approximately 2.525 pounds. Left. I'm dyslexic. Beautifulbrian here, the phenom coming out of nowhere, when last seen had eaten 8.5 monster balls, had left in his bowl of sour garlic pickles 2.520, which means by 500ths of a pound, which is like less than my moisture in my mouth. Our new world sour garlic pickle eating champion, Beautifulbrian.
And a very good morning to everyone. This is Beautifulbrian, my second podcast, the second edition of Beautifulbrian's podcast, and I welcome everyone. For those of you that are sort of perplexed by what you just heard, that was the voice of Curtis Sliwa, the founder of the Guardian Angels. They are a crime-fighting unit, unarmed crime-fighting unit that patrols the New York City subway system, supposedly on a frequent basis. I haven't seen them in years, to be honest with you. But they've been around about 30 years or so, and Curtis is the founder of that organization. He's also a radio personality. You can hear him on WABC, I believe, in the mornings with his partner Ron Kuby. And he was the MC of that event. And he had been MCing that event for, I'd say, about 6 or 7 years. He was also the former pickle eating champ. He claims he ate 4 pounds of pickles, but it was in a longer time frame, like maybe 15, 20 minutes or so. I don't know. I've never seen, there's no documentation of, or actual evidence that he did, but he was the pickle eating champ, and a guy by the name of Crazy Kevin Lipsitz took that title from him in 2000, and then 2 years later I won the title by barely beating, and I say barely, beating a legendary eater by the name of Ed Cookie Jarvis, who had multiple titles with the IFOCE. But I remember when, Curtis was the MC of that event, and I remember when I won the event, it was like 500ths of a pickle, like the moisture in my mouth was the margin of victory between myself and Ed Jarvis. And I had beaten some pretty well-known names, Eric Badlands Booker, Charles Hardy, even Kevin, and of course Ed Jarvis. And it's like, I took the world by storm. It was like and all these haters, to this day, it's still, he got lucky. Talks about a pickle title that was 12 years ago. But it was a title, man, okay? It was whatever. Bottom line is I won. There was no money involved, but just being immortalized by New York City was enough for me at that point. But from what I was told, that they're not going to hold this contest anymore. I defended it 2 years later, I lost. And they've been running the contest up until, I think, 2011. And they had these other guys come in and just ruin it. So I don't even want to get into that. It was like after I did the contest, after I defended and lost, I just wanted no part of it afterwards. But I was actually contemplating trying to come back and just to reclaim that title again, maybe this year or whatever. And I'm sure I probably would have gotten the okay from George Shea and the boys. But who needs it? I got no recognition for every time I go into that delicatessen. They didn't even know who the fuck I was. You know, it was like they didn't even have my picture on the wall. You know, I think there was one guy, the owner's son-in-law was pretty cool with me a couple of years earlier. Since I think 2010, I stopped by and he was like, "Hey," gives me a big handshake. That made me feel good. You know, at least he noticed me. Those cashiers there have the personalities of a wet mop. Forget about them, man. Oh. Big chip on their shoulder, a lot of the people there. And so he gave me like a sandwich for half price, big deal. So but they make pretty good sandwiches. I just and then I did another something. Then when they had the LeBron James sandwich, I went in there and did some publicity shoots for them, which was my idea. And Sandy Levine, who was the owner, you know, tried to take all the credit for it. He's not actually the owner. He just sort of inherited by name. His wife, her father, Milton Parker, he was the actual owner of the deli from 1976 till his passing, which I believe was 2009. But Sandy stood in as the owner because Milton was pretty sick and for many years. And Milton took over the deli in 1976 from Leo Steiner, who was like a big name in New York at that time. You know, he really made that deli what it was today. I don't believe Milton had the personality of Leo, but he did an adequate job. I actually met him when I defended the title in 2004. He was in pretty bad shape. He was in a wheelchair. He wanted to meet me. He shook my hand, and you know, I met his family. Sandy's wife, who was his daughter. She's the actual owner of the deli now. But after that, you know, hearing about all those things in the newspaper and the tabloids and New York Post and everything about the affair he had with some woman, and she was apparently living on adjacent or above the Carnegie Deli itself, and he was charging her maybe like $800 a month rent. And the rent there, if for an average Joe working off the street, would probably be about $2,000 or $3,000 a month. You know, you don't get. I think he was charging her 1979 rent, or maybe that's I'm being nice. 1982, 83 rent. Oh wow! I mean, it just tells you how if you want to live in Manhattan, you got to have some bucks, man. So anyway, I guess the wife found out about the affair, and it was all over the newspapers, and she, you know, went to court. She sued him. So I guess threw him out of the house and threw him out of the deli. That's no more pickle eating contest, because that was Sandy's idea to have that contest. Although the guy that supplied the pickles for the Carnegie Deli, his name is Steve Leibowitz. He's the president of United Pickle Factory in New York, in Manhattan. He has a factory out in the South Bronx, which I wouldn't be caught dead in. I was there maybe 2 or 3 times. He gave me a 20-gallon jug to practice with for the pickle contest, which was really nice of the guy. And Steve is actually the one that provided the after party. It was not Mr. Levine. It was Steve Leibowitz that, he footed the bill for the party that, we have a little party after the contest, all you could eat. When we had this one freeloader that was not a very good competitive eater, he was sort of a drifter and claimed he was a photographer. His name was Hal Schimmel. And this guy would just try to get into the contest. Couldn't eat for shit. Just so he could, be a schnorrer and get into that after party. So when he built up this like $300 tab, and all this was takeout food. Hal Schimmel was never invited to be a participant in the Carnegie Deli contest. Steve Leibowitz saw to that. When he mentioned it to me, I was cracking up, man. I was in stitches. It was fun. I mean, the 2004 was the last time I competed. And after that point, it was like, I was actually thinking about doing it this year, but I says, nah. I'm sure George Shea and the boys would have given me the green light, but fuck it, man. Not worth my time, but from what I've been told, there will be no more Carnegie Deli pickle eating contest. Because it was basically, Steve Leibowitz, president of the United Pickles, he could probably run the contest out in the South Bronx somewhere or find another location, but I doubt it. Sandy was the guy that promoted it and made it what it was today. I don't even know where the guy's living now, man. He could threw it all away on a bit of lust. So that's the story with that. I've been we have, speaking of competitive eating, we have my special guest today will be Michelle LESCO. She's going to come on a little later on. She's known as Cardboard Shell. That's her competitive eating name. And she's involved in a variety of fundraisers. We'll be discussing that. And she recently... She raises money sometimes by eating hot dogs, and it's also based on the amount of hot dogs she puts away that will help her campaign to raise money for certain charitable organizations. And I think she did like 33 the other day, which was like really awesome, man. Congratulations to you, Michelle. Also, there's a few things I failed to mention on the first podcast. Was number one is my website, which has been around since September of 2003. It's you can log on to it by going to www.beautifulbrian.com. That's an I with an I, all one word. And I'll just fill you in on the day's events and competitive eating, the week's events. There's a section called the Bits and Pieces where I throw in my 2 cents on the gossip of the sport and what have you. And I've been around, the site's been up about 10 years and still going strong. You could also find me on Facebook. You could also find me on Twitter at Beautifulbrian2. We discuss almost anything and everything regarding competitive eating. So I want to touch base on this Donald Sterling guy, and I'll tell you, man, this guy's something else. Was he like 80 years old? I saw a picture of him, an old picture of him when he was about 40. it popped on the internet somewhere. I mean, it doesn't even look like the guy. He looks like a rugged swimmer, an athletic build, a guy that really had it going on at one time, and I don't know what happened to him, man. But he definitely did not age very well. I could tell you that. There was an interesting article in the Washington Post that sort of, I love that newspaper. It's a complete diversion from the crap that you read in New York, the Daily News and the, I could probably write for the Daily News or the Post. I mean, the writers there are, it's like night and day compared to the Washington Post. If you're not familiar with the Washington Post, it is probably the most widely circulated newspaper that's published in Washington, D.C. And it's probably the oldest. I think it started in like 1877. And it has a particular emphasis on national politics. And some of the writers there, they are brilliant. The writers like Mr. Robert Woodward and Carl Bernstein, they actually led the investigation into what became known as the Watergate scandal. They were reporting whatever they reported back then greatly contributed to the resignation of one of our greatest presidents in the history of, the United States, Richard Nixon. I'm just being so sarcastic with that. And, they, like I said, it's one of the few U.S. newspapers that actually has foreign bureaus located in foreign countries like Hong Kong, Jerusalem, London, Mexico City, Baghdad. I just enjoy reading it. It's so like if there's any controversy or anything involved with politics, religion, whatever, even this Donald Sterling situation, I go to the Washington Post. It's a gem. It's right there with the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. So if you ever get a chance, check out the Washington Post. So there was this article about this Don Sterling, man, and I just thought I would read it to you. Be kind of brief about it if I can. And they just hit it. This was published, I believe it was last week. And it just basically tells a story about this dude. He's it says basically here, it says, don't ever confuse wealth with virtue or intellect. That's the lesson from LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling's alleged audio-taped racist harangue. It's amazing how dilapidated and vacant a man can look despite his money. Never underestimate an old reprobate's proneness to sabotage himself with an attraction to fishnet. As a demonstration of pure, sustained lowlifeness, Sterling's career couldn't be meaner. But put off your urge to shake Sterling until his teeth chatter in his decrepit, offensive mouth. And think about something. What is more embarrassing here? Sterling's naked bigotry, or the fact that for decades the NBA has tolerated him, a slumlord who doesn't want blacks in the building? This isn't just about the Clippers. All of Sterling's business partners have had some explaining to do to their own players. Truth, new league commissioner Adam Silver is comparatively helpless to act against Sterling, as my friend the veteran Bay Area sportscaster Ray Rader observes. Only the owners have the throw weight to do something this big. It's all well and good for Sterling to be tossed from the league, but a man who works for the owners can't really discipline an owner at all. Lesson 4 from Don Sterling is that rich guys show solidarity until it threatens their self-interest, which is why a wide league player boycott may be needed. Yet after carefully affording due process, Silver can try to fine or suspend Sterling. he can try to find or suspend a litigious billionaire who lost his give a ripper sometime back in his flapper days. But NBA players and coaches will still have to contribute to the profit margin of a man who says blacks smell and aren't clean. This quote, by the way, isn't new. It comes from sworn testimony in 2002 slumlording case against Sterling for discriminating against tenants, not just blacks, but also Hispanics, whom he's called lazy drunks, and Koreans, who he's deemed too powerless to complain. So, this is basically an owner's deal, just as forcing Marge Schott out of a controlling interest in the Cincinnati Reds was also an owner's deal. That's the way business is really done at league levels. The commissioner employee does the public posturing, while behind the scenes the owners exert the real pressure. It's also interesting to note that Schott controlled the Reds from 84 to 99, but it took until 1996 before owners acted against her for a long stream of invective against blacks, Jews, and Japanese. They didn't move on her until she expressed her admiration for Hitler. Well, that's going to do it right there, man. The public penalty was a suspension. Behind the scenes, owners got together to pressure her into a sale. Now, that's the only way to eject Sterling from the league, although a backroom deal forged by the owners. It'll be interesting to watch how this unfolds. And then you hear from the players and the coach of the Clippers, Doc Rivers. They voted against one because it's unfair that they're saddled with the burden and distraction of Sterling's behavior while they're trying to win the playoffs. Honestly, I'm completely against that, and they were too. Quote from Doc Rivers. The answer may lie in a suggestion by LeBron James, who has said, I've kind of wavered back and forth if I would actually sit out, but there's no room for Donald Sterling in our league. There's no room for him. If all the teams left in the playoffs organize around the Clippers, then this isn't their problem alone. Your situation is our situation. None of us will take court until the owners publicly condemn Sterling, promise to act and remove him regardless of the legal peril. So, I could go on about this article, but that's basically what it's all about. It's funny because this has been going on for years. I could go back, even when I was a kid. I don't remember the civil rights movement, but, blacks have always gotten the short end of the stick, no matter what. Even though, it looks like they're, you've got these multimillionaires now, Jay-Z, and they've become entrepreneurs and they've succeeded in a lot of business. They still, they could still walk down the street if nobody knows who they are. They'll just be. Eddie Murphy once said to me, I'm just another nigger. That's what he, if I'm not in the limelight. And it's sad that things have to be that way. Racism will continue till the world ends. I mean, it's there. I mean, it's just not as prevalent as it was before. I mean, it was bad in the 70s and the 80s. Pretty bad. I could vouch for that. I remember being in, I was right, I was a kid, but when they killed Martin Luther King, my parents kept me out of school for about a week and a half, even though most of the riots were taking place in Newark, New Jersey. That's when basically all the looting and the violence and the arson occurred. And yeah, it was bad. Then, I was right in the middle of the Canarsie school, the busing, the boycotts back in 73. And if you wanted to, it was, you had white moms, black moms, they were actually spitting at each other, throwing bottles, cussing. It got violent. There was physical assaults, everything. I was out of school for 2 months. I missed junior high school for 2 months. Being in the middle of all that shit. And it escalated on to the point where it became almost intolerable. There's been a calm for the last, and then, O.J. Simpson, Rodney King, it just never ends. And now this, all you have to do is start lighting a fire under somebody's ass with an old man, an old billionaire that has nothing better to do, and he just happened to, hook up with this chick that recorded his conversations, which, opened up a real big can of worms. I want to play you a clip to just show you the racial aspects of the 70s of Muhammad Ali on the Mike Douglas show. This took place in July of 1974. Just to give you an example of the kind of racial tension there was back then. Ali appeared on the show with Sly and the Family Stone, the guy that was the lead singer of the group, and a congressman by the name of Wayne Hayes from Ohio. Your typical right-wing white congressman. Purely, there was a lot of tension involved in this clip. That's why I wish I had Beautiful Brian's Corner so you could actually see the expressions on their face via the video. I really miss the video. But what happened was, I think Ali was, and this is from my perspective, that he was really nervous about fighting George Foreman. This was just about a month before, or 2 months before he was set to get in the ring with Foreman and try to get back, try to retain his heavyweight title, which he had lost to Joe Frazier, and then try to get it back from Ken, whatever. But Ali was trying to go for the second, trying to become the heavyweight champion for the second time. And there's a lot of pressure on him. So I'm thinking that he was acting the way he did because of the, the pressure put on for the big fight. But he was sort of acting like an overbearing pain in the ass. And it shows in the reactions of the other people on the panel. He had some valid points, but so did the other ones. Ali never struck me as being a particularly bright guy, but we already know that the other guy, Sly Stone, was more of a peacemaker, and he was particularly brilliant in that aspect. But they would always label him as, Sly Stone as a drug addict, and that he was, when he appeared on talk shows, that he was always high. I don't know if you remember him, but he had this, Sly and the Family Stone had a couple of big hits. One was Everyday People, Family Affair, Dance to the Music. And he was the kind of guy that would, after performing, he would continue performing the same song and run into the crowd and just grab people out of nowhere and start dancing with them. Him and his sister, they would both, they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they raised a storm on that show. I mean, he was just, the ratings zoomed. One thing about Ed, he would get the top acts, and he'd make sure he'd get them on, and whether it's the Animals, the Byrds, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Ed wanted them and he got them. So, but in this particular segment, I believe that Ali was being very heavy-handed. He was pompous, and he refused to listen to anyone else's point of view. So, that was about it. So when you listen to this, you'll understand exactly what was going on. Mike Douglas is the host of the show, and Mike sort of gets in his 2 cents at the end. He wasn't going to let Ali show him up on his show. So give a listen. It's about 8 minutes, and then we'll be back.
There's been many times on a show like this when we cut away for the commercial breaks, a lot of things you said that I'd like to hear repeated. I'd like you to repeat what you said about the Congresswoman from Texas.
Well, I want to say this to Mohammed before, and we got a little side argument going. One of the brightest minds in the United States Congress today is a freshman congresswoman from Texas, a black woman by the name of Barbara Jordan. I think she can get to the heart of the problem about as quick as anybody. We had a meeting just a few days ago with a group of British parliamentarians to talk about common problems, and I took her there. I asked her as a special favor to go to this meeting.
Yeah, but he's saying there's so many black people that have a lot to say.
Well, that's true, but there's a lot of white people that have a lot to say in Congress, but it only can be 435 congressmen at any given time.
For 400 years.
Well, the blacks now are getting elected, and let me say this, Barbara Jordan was elected from a constituency that doesn't have a majority of blacks.
Yeah, but what he's saying is that he doesn't care about being elected.
Well, that's up to him to decide that. That's not for me to say, but I am saying that some black people are making a contribution in that field.
But isn't it time that we all live together?
Well, I don't think we can live
time for living, time for giving.
Yeah. I don't think we can live segregated. I don't think you can segregate the Jews into one compartment, the blacks into another, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants into another, the Catholics into another. I think we're all here in this country, and we're going to have to live together and get along together. And your entertainment wouldn't go if nobody but blacks went to it, or paid, or got admissions, and your fights wouldn't gross what they do if the whites didn't contribute.
I want to say one thing. If there's a white man come to hear him, if we got 40 million black people that love his music, he don't need no white audience. I just want to say,
there's no 40 million white people in this country. I'm just saying,
I can't let you stay on the TV and say that he wouldn't make it if it wasn't for the white people.
Well, I'm not saying he wouldn't make it, but I'm saying he wouldn't make it as big as he does.
You're right, if we have white people promoting it. No. I got one more thing to say too.
Okay, now
for the black people.
What he's saying is that it does not make you big because white people come.
Congressman didn't say that. He said you wouldn't go as big, he said. Nor would your fights, is what he said.
And your country wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us.
Well, they don't need that.
America wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for my people slaving and working for 400 years for you white people. Fighting in all of your wars. Yeah. Then you talk about if I didn't, white people come to my fights wouldn't have no money. We built the country.
That's right.
We fought in all the wars. We were lynched. We were captured. We were murdered. And
some of us were in on that.
We want to give you a little bit. We want to give you some credit, Mohammed. But after all, you're 11 million out of 210 million, so you didn't do everything. The whites did something too. You know.
You did do
Everybody made a contribution.
You did do something. You killed off all the Indians, then you brought us over and robbed us.
Yeah, but what Mike's trying to say is that there's a way to say all of this without having any animosity.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. I buy that.
Yeah, well, see, ain't no animosity. Ain't nobody hitting nobody.
Yeah, but it should not sound like that.
Words are more powerful than fists.
That's why. That's why animosity.
I think it's a fairly simplistic argument that we're having here. On the one hand saying, why can't we all live together? Now we know that it's tough to live together, and we know that there are animosities, and we know that there's back dues and back pay and back things that are owed to people, and not just to blacks, to Indians as well, and to women as well, and to other minorities
as well. It is not simplistic.
Well, there's nothing simplistic. The man and his wife don't live together in perfect harmony all the time.
I'll tell you one thing.
Sometimes they have problems.
You take a house, you take a country, you kill off all the Indians, you kill off the blacks, and you get everything is yours. Now you say, let's live together without giving up nothing or repaying. Now you want peace. You got everything now. You done conquered the world. Now you want to be peaceful. Well, people ain't resting. They don't want no peace.
Yeah, but if somebody said, I only care for whites, we would label him by very ugly epithets. And if I said I only care for Jews and nothing else, I would be labeled as an exclusionary, elitist.
I only care for the freedom and the unity of my people. Everybody else has got it.
Not really.
No, not true.
Not everybody else.
I don't buy that.
Well, I tell you what, I bet you the Viet Cong, who we black people, not me, I wasn't fool enough to go, those who helped fight, I bet you the Viet Cong is more citizens and can come here and put on a little suit and get more freedom and move in neighborhoods and put up business where Negroes can't.
I believe that.
No, that's not right.
I believe that.
They're under a dictatorship just like the Russians.
The Japanese can, the Germans can. Everybody that's not American can go and do what Negroes can do. So quit being hypocrites on this TV. The whole world know Negroes the lowest, the most down, the most disrespected, and the less protected than anybody.
Well, where can't you go, Muhammad? And
okay, I'm one big nigga. I'm a nigga, got $10 million. I'm a great fighter, so I can go. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the brother watching this show. Can't pay his rent.
Yeah.
He ain't got nothing.
Well, what about the white man who can't pay his rent?
Well,
There's a lot of them.
It's his damn country. He should get out there and do something. That's his fault.
Yeah.
It's his damn country.
Not all the poor are black, and not all the poor are white.
I know, you got some poor white. Well, then I'm working for my black brothers. You look out for your white brothers.
That's what I was saying earlier.
I ain't say hate nobody. I don't hate nobody.
Congressman, what
Just help each other. Help yourself first.
What is the answer?
Well, I think the answer, if there is an answer.
People want the truth. All this laughing and giggling. Now you're talking about.
Well, you laughing and giggling.
Use this TV time to tell some
You laughing and giggling just like everybody else.
But you see, the laughing and giggling is not phony. The laughing and giggling. I have a function here. My function is to entertain and make as many people out there happy as I possibly can. And man, I do it every day.
That's your job.
That's right.
It's your job.
Don't say it's phony because it's not phony. I don't have a phony bone in this body.
When you want to know why I'm not coming on giggling my teeth.
I didn't say that. I said you look troubled. I didn't say, why aren't you giggling and laughing?
I'm always troubled.
Well, no, not always, because
you're in a world full of hypocrites. If I wasn't who I was, I'd be somewhere in the restaurant. So I ain't got no time to be looking like I'm so happy.
Yeah, but
my brothers are catching hell and catching hell and catching hell. Dead.
Yeah, that's right.
And all hypocrites saying, you a hypocrite yourself.
Well,
what's the answer, Congressman?
The answer is that, it's easy to sit back and call everybody else in the world a hypocrite. I'm not going to call anybody a hypocrite. I think everybody has a right to their own opinion.
Any white person in this artist, they say, when I tell the truth of my people, ain't nothing but a hypocrite.
I don't hate black people.
I'm going to say hate.
And I don't see, I don't dislike them. And I don't see why you should dislike
Well, then you
whites.
get with the government and tell them to get together and unite and do something. But Muhammad, you tell them to get together, you take your face and your complexion to the White House and repay the black people for all the work they done, all the slaving and
get down, brother.
Give them some land and don't hate nobody, then do something and repay.
Well, maybe we ought to start back in Africa with the tribal chiefs who sold the slaves into slavery in the first place.
That don't mean you should
you can't go back and rectify 500 years of history.
They didn't say
you just can't do it.
They didn't sell you to lynch us.
Let's be happy.
They didn't sell us to you to burn us.
Time for living.
Look at that guy.
Wow. So what do you think of that, huh? But that was nothing. That was our culture back then. That was the sign of the times. That was the 70s. That you could say whatever you want as long as it's within certain boundaries. I mean, of course, foul language is not permitted. Actually, you hear the word ass, shit, and all that, whatever, except for the word, except for the F word. We've come a long way as far as censoring and expletives. But you didn't need to engage in foul language to prove your point. And Muhammad Ali was like, he not only was he a great fighter, I was always a big fan of Muhammad Ali. Great fighter, also an entertainer as well. He could captivate an audience the same way Elvis Presley did with his music. He was just he made that sport what it is today, and I commend him for that. Sad to hear about the situation that he's been in, afflicted with a horrible disease. But if you got a chance to appreciate him back in the day, he was something else. This next clip I'm about to play for you actually makes this one look paltry compared to what, I mean, Howard Stern was, I don't know if you want to call him an innovator, but he got away with a lot of shit. Okay, I mean, you know, he paid his dues. I mean, you know, he got a lot of heat, caught a lot of heat from the FCC, and was, you know, they threatened to throw him off the air countless number of times. It wasn't a smooth sailing for this dude. Okay, so he was able to secure a television network show for like 2 years with Channel 9. And the show was based out somewhere in New Jersey. And they hired this kid. His name was Stuttering John. He was one of their interns. And they were looking for somebody that could go out there and stick their face out in the world and take the heat and take punches and blows and interview celebrities while in the interim still getting their ass kicked at the same, hopefully without too much damage. So they'd send this guy out and he'd do all these crazy interviews. So one of the segments on that show was called The Homeless Hollywood Squares, in which they would, there were two homeless people that were the spotlight, that were in the spotlight of the show. And they would vie for this prize. I think they picked them off of 42nd Street in Manhattan. They vie for the grand prize, which was a large shopping cart of empty cans, so they could cash them in for 5 cents a piece. At about 100 cans, whatever. And, you know, that's like a big thing to homeless people. You know, that's like hitting the lotto, man. And they would, the panel was situated very similar to the Hollywood Squares show. And they had all these has-beens on there. Some of them they actually did pick off the street as well. They also had Martha Ray's husband and the underdog lady and couple others, but the most interesting, compelling character out of that whole crew was this Daniel Carver, who was one of the he ran one of the KKK organizations somewhere down south. And after the show was completed, this Stuttering John, he pulls this guy over to the side and gets an interview with him, and wait till you hear this. I mean, I don't know if many of you were around back then, or you probably caught this on the internet, but, you know, this gets as racial as it can get. Okay, check it out.
Can I ask you a few questions, man?
Sure.
So let me ask you, you hate all blacks.
I didn't say I hated all blacks. All blacks should be in Africa. I don't hate dogs. We don't let dogs vote and live with us.
Suppose you were dying. Like, let's say you were drowning, right?
Yeah.
And a black guy comes out and saves you and whatever right before you die. Brings you onto the shore and gives you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and you live. Are you going to like that guy now?
No, I'd rather him leave me alone.
You'd rather die than be saved by a black guy?
Well, it ain't gonna happen. You might as well say, what if the sky falls? I mean, I'm not gonna drown, and there ain't no nigger gonna come and save me. Flooded with all dark-skinned races. We've got Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, niggers, Vietnamese, all of them dark-skinned flooding into this country because they can't survive in their own country. They come in here living off us, and our taxes continue to go up.
Yeah, but a lot of people have made some great inventions and stuff. You don't think, well, if
they're so great, why couldn't they make it in their own country? Well, niggers in Africa had diamonds squashing up between their toes, but they didn't have enough sense to bend over and pick one of them up before a white man went over and showed them its glitter. So they never invented nothing. Nigger never invented nothing more intelligent than a sharp-pointed stick.
Well, so how do you suggest we remedy the situation?
Well, the perfect solution would be to send them back to Africa, but I don't think we can do that. We're going to end up with a race war. We've got these niggers now, like the one in Milwaukee. The politician claims that if he don't get reelected, he's going to get up on top of a building and start shooting white people.
When you're raping your own mother and having children with your mother, that's why you have no brain in your head.
Right.
Well, I'm talking
The lay
facts.
of the land in your people's world is incest.
I'm talking
You have
facts,
no brain.
and you just start running your mouth.
No, I am talking about facts. What do you think you do in the hills there? You do more than bake biscuits.
Just like this man is Puerto Rican, I'm Puerto Rican too. They got white,
And you
black
would
ones,
need our
and they got
blood to
white
survive.
ones, okay? So you
I
don't
don't
know what
need your
you're
blood for
talking
nothing.
about.
Yeah, when
Okay.
if anything happened to you, you wouldn't take a transfusion.
No, I wouldn't take
You don't have a brain.
Huh?
I'm gonna tell you something.
Obviously he's got a brain.
Yeah, a brain that does not work. It's war.
I think
You're a
it works
very
good.
sick
Let me give
person.
you some intelligence.
And you
since
thank
wanna
God
hear
you're
it.
not the
get no
majority.
I'm gonna give you some intelligence.
No,
I
you don't
keep
give
telling
me
you,
nothing.
stop saying nigga, you talking about your mother. All right?
That-
But let
No,
me give you some
garbage is his
intelligence.
mother.
Let me give
Nigger
you
is a
some.
pleasure.
You want to know why
Wait,
you
wait,
fear
wait.
me?
Can I ask you a question?
You're a
wanna
nigger, and I don't even know
you
what
wanna
he
know
is.
why
Did your
you
parents...
fear me?
Hey,
Yeah, you want to
hold on. Did your parents...
You fear me,
Jews are the
sweetheart.
devil.
You fear
No,
me.
we're
You
not the
can't even
devil.
look me
Sure
in my
you are.
eye. You can't even look me in my eye. You fear me. You want to know why? That's right. You want to know why you fear me?
Don't get
Because
physical.
everything about you, your whole everything
fear
is
you.
eclectic
I
from
fear
my
you.
from my people. You
You're right.
understand
I
me?
fear you because
talking
you're
about
a
white
savage.
America?
Home run
America was
question.
Native
Can I ask one
American
question?
Indians.
Can I ask,
Okay.
did your parents bring you up to hate blacks and is that how you were brought up?
I was brought up separated from niggers. When I went to school, niggers didn't go to school.
No. Let me ask him a home run question.
Okay.
Do you believe in Jesus Christ?
Sure, but you
Is he
don't.
the devil?
No,
He is a Hebrew.
no, he's not
Yes,
a Jew.
he is a Hebrew.
Jesus Christ.
Sheep, wool, and skin of copper. Now you tell me what color a copper penny is, baby.
Jesus Christ in the Bible,
Read your
when he was
Bible.
accused of being a Jew, his answer
Not
was,
accused. He
was.
Joy, shut up. I'll
He
tell you what the
was.
Bible said.
It's hard
When
to
you-
shut up.
when the people in the
You
Bible-
don't realize how very stupid you
When
are.
people in the Bible told Jesus he was a Jew, he said, I am not of this world.
That's right. Meaning he was
You're
a
not
higher
of this
power.
world either.
Well, maybe not.
No, you're not. And you don't belong to be part of it.
Why don't we all shake hands
Okay.
and make up? How you
Come
think?
on, baby.
I'll-
I'm gonna show you.
Well, there you go. That's why his show lasted maybe 2 years. Caught the attention of some of the bigwigs out in Washington, I guess. Incredible shit, man. Anyway, on a much more less controversial note, coming up, my special guest, Michelle LESCO, known as Cardboard Shell. Stay right where you are. Okay, we are back. Very pleased to announce I'm honored to have on the second podcast Michelle LESCO, known as Cardboard Shell, and she's a rising star in the competitive eating community, on the competitive eating scene. And Michelle, how you doing? A pleasure to have you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Michelle, just let the fans know and the people out there how you got started in competitive eating. There's not a plethora of females in this sport, so it's almost like a big thrill and a bonus for everyone in the sport itself, knowing that there's another female competitor that can put away a whole bunch of food. And were you always a big eater, or is this something that...
I think I was. I tend to eat a lot more than I guess most people, or so they tell me, because it's always kind of a comment that's made. But I think I got started more because I'm competitive, and I'm kind of I guess a jerk to my friends. Two of my guy friends were talking about this burger challenge down in Tucson. On Man vs. Food. And it was a 3-pound burger, and they had been talking about it for months. And we finally get down there on a day that they're open, and we're sitting down, and they just made excuse after excuse, like, oh, I'm hungover, oh, I don't feel good, oh, I think I'm just going to order a normal burger. And And I was like, are you kidding me? Because you've been talking about this for so long. Just order the stupid burger. And basically their response was, you eat the burger. And I said, fine, I will, because I wanted them to feel like little girls for chickening out.
Right. Well, like most competitive eaters that got started in the game, they always say that, well, not all of them, but many say that they got in because of a bet.
Yeah, it's basically what it was. Someone challenged me, and they were only half-heartedly challenging me, but I wanted them to feel bad about chickening out. So.
And that's good, and then that brings out, because you never know what you're good at until you try it. So that brings out the talent that you probably thought you never had.
Yeah, and going back to whether I'm a big eater or not, like that, I think even to the people who have seen me eat was really shocking that I was able to finish that, because no one had said before, hey, go try this challenge. So apparently I'm not that big of an eater in general, but after I finished that burger, like, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Anytime anyone heard of a challenge. And eventually that led to someone telling me to go do the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, because there was a qualifier in Tempe. And going back to what you were saying about there not being a whole lot of girls in the sport, my buddy Ryan McKillop was saying, hey, just come down. This was the year before I actually went into it. He's like, they'll let you in because you're a girl. Like, they don't allow walk-ins, but they'll allow a girl walk-in. I'm sure they will. And I almost did, but I kind of got lost on my way up there. I didn't really know exactly where it was at, and I kind of used the excuse to say, no, not gonna try it this year.
Absolutely. Well, see,
the next year I was out there, and I think I got in because I was a girl. I think it's harder for unknown guys to get into a qualifier than it is for unknown girls.
Well, the women are a commodity in the sport. I've been in the sport for a while. And I know that George Shea and the IFOCE, they are thrilled if they can get another female competitive eater that can eat. Before, it was more about just getting females into the sport, just having them around, or it didn't even matter, what their capacity was or how much they could eat. Just as long as they could have the females representing the sport. But then that all changed because we had some... they lasted a little here. They were fly-by-nights. They didn't last very long. But once Sonia Thomas came around, everything changed. That changed everything. So she set the forefront for other women, female eaters to come in there and try to challenge her. Not too many have been successful. But as soon as you and Mickey Sudo came on the scene, it's been a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I absolutely love Sonia, and I think it's awesome that she not only pioneered it for the women, but stuck around just dominating for so long.
Absolutely.
It's probably a little bit weird for her to have female competition now because it was so unheard of for so long, but she's an absolute doll. I think she's great. Really good sport. Really sweet person. So.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you compete next to her, the speed is absolutely phenomenal. I mean,
yeah, she's a monster.
Yeah, I remember doing chicken McNuggets with her in Madison Square Garden prior to a New York Liberty game, and actually, no, it was halftime. And I wanted to sort of get the gist of what she was all about because I knew a lot about her. She was basically in the organization for competing for about a year, and it was basically put away a bunch of chicken McNuggets in a certain amount of time. They gave you 5 minutes, and each tray had 10 McNuggets, and she was on that third tray within about a minute and a half, man. So that told the story right there. But taking nothing away from you guys, you seem to be right there in the forefront, Michelle. I mean, you're putting up numbers that are phenomenal lately. And this basically just came about within the last year or so, right?
Yeah, I think last year I did a whole lot of contests. The year before, my first year I think I only did 2 contests, and my second year I think I only did 3 or 4. But last year I really kind of put that effort in to go around and try new foods, and I don't practice that much at home when I don't have a competition coming up. So I think that additional practice is what kind of helped me out a whole lot. But I do feel like I'm an underdog in a lot of senses. I kind of feel like I did back when I ran cross country, where I feel like a lot of people are in better shape than I am, and I just kind of somehow pull it out, and I don't really know how that happens. So I feel like I beat people who are intrinsically better than me in a lot of ways.
No, you've proven yourself in wings. You've proven yourself in hot dogs. If Mickey Sudo wasn't on the scene, you'd probably be the second best female eater out there. Actually, no. Let me correct me on that one. You've beaten Sonia a few times, right?
I've beaten her a few times. She definitely has me beat in a lot of different things. So hot dogs, I'm not going to touch her this year. Not even come close. Juliette will probably beat me in hot dogs this year. She always kind of puts up a consistently solid number. But I'm trying to inch my way up there. So maybe in the next couple of years I'll get closer. But
right,
it definitely got me in a lot of different ways. So.
Well, we don't want to discuss the hot dog thing. That could be America's best kept secret. The world is wondering whether Mickey Sudo will compete. That's up to George Shea and the boys. Whatever, we'll see what happens on that end. But she knows that somebody's hanging on her heels, and that her hot dog title might be up for grabs this year, because it's going to be kind of rough if Mickey does actually get into that contest.
If there were Vegas bets on it, it would be a hard one to choose. I think that it's going to be a really awesome competition this year.
Right. Well, Vegas actually going back to as far as 2001, Vegas was taking bets. They had the tote board for the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I don't know if many of the casinos are participating in the actual wagering or betting this year or in prior years, but this would be a great year to get you guys into the action. And I'm lobbying for having the women's event on ESPN. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't have this get the same.
I hope we get a little bit more
man.
this year. It's kind of ridiculous to me that we get a 10-second recap when the guys get an hour for a 10-minute program.
Exactly. Now, Michelle. Right. Now, don't get me wrong, because I happen to be a big fan of the internet, and that's where most of the action is. I mean, YouTube attracts 1 billion viewers per day, as opposed to like iTunes, which will, if you want to, that's when you try to download stuff, they attract 1 billion per month. So I'm not knocking the internet or YouTube or any of the other social media outlets, but if people want to watch the Nathan's hot dog contest, there's no better place or where you're going to get the volume or the traffic coming in as far as watching it on your actual television set.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame because it is available on ESPN.com, but
it's just not.
Only if you have cable can you access that. Whereas if you're sitting in a sports bar, you can watch the men's competition just on the TV there.
Right, but I mean, honestly, how many people are going to really sit back and watch a hot dog contest on the internet? It's all the action is on the boob tube on TV. That's how Joey got famous. That's how the Nathan's hot dog. Because honestly, before the advent of ESPN and the TV rights and so forth, the Nathan's contest was a very small venue. I mean, they attracted maybe 100 people, and I was there to vouch for that. George Shea would actually ask for the assistance of some of the eaters in the contest to help him construct the stage, and hope that some of these little vandals used to come around and try to knock it down, these juvenile delinquents, and sometimes the cops weren't around there, and George had to, put his foot down on that. So we've improved a lot in that regard as far as security and getting that the contest to where it has become today, which is monumental.
Yeah, it's a really fun event to go to every year, so I can't really complain. It'd be nice to get a little bit of airtime.
Oh, absolutely. Considering the fact that Sonya is the champ and somebody is this year is the year that somebody might dethrone her, and the chances of somebody dethroning Joey are, pretty slim. So I think that in itself would make the contest more apparable to be shown on national TV. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But for some reason, people tend to enjoy men's sports more, and there is the argument that Joey's putting up much higher numbers than our top female.
Right.
So that's kind of what a lot of people tune in for, too, is like, what number will Joey hit? Not necessarily will someone beat Joey.
Exactly.
So,
well, we'll see what happens. I mean, you still got Matt Stoney, Matt Megatoad. He's incredible.
he's a monster. He is so...
Heir apparent to Joey Chestnut, right?
Yeah, he is so focused and dedicated. They both train so hard. They're just really great competitors.
Right. Let me ask you something, and this is I just want to get your opinion on this. Do you feel sorry for Kobayashi that he doesn't get a chance? Because this guy wants to get in there, man.
I don't think he wants it that badly. I don't really feel bad for him because I think that he's kind of better off where he is. Like he came out, people still remember him. If you mention Nathan's Hot Dogs, they're like, oh yeah, that Japanese guy. So even if they don't know his name, they're thinking of Kobayashi before they're thinking of Joey a lot of times. Because he came out and he moved the mark from 25 to 50 in 1 year.
Right.
That's groundbreaking. So he's remembered for that. And I think he makes a lot more money doing what he's doing. Like his one appearance where he was standing on a rooftop, he probably made more for that appearance fee than he would have made getting second place to Joey. Because let's face it, he probably would have. Like, had he won, he probably still would have made less money than his appearance fee.
Right.
But I think he's making a lot more doing his own thing. He's really marketable as a person because people will remember him. So I think he's got a really good thing going on. So I don't think there's any reason to feel bad for him. I think it's more of the get my name out there, keep my name mentioned, tied to the Nathan's contest, more than him actually wanting to be in it.
Right.
Is what my impression kind of is.
Right, because I had asked, and I don't even know if I should bring this into it, because this is kind of, I asked Mickey Sudo, I said, did you ever try to friend him on Facebook? And she says, I doubt he wants anything to do with me. But no, he's not that kind of a guy. I mean, this is just my personal opinion, I don't think he's going to go out of his way to friend anyone that's a member of the IFOCE. That's because of his, past problems he had with them. But I'm sure if,
I'm Facebook friends with him.
Who is?
I think I am.
Oh, yeah. No, but you friended him first, right?
I don't remember, honestly.
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's probably before I was in IFOCE anyways.
Right, but I think, his sole intention is to try to sway people away from the organization and get with him. He's not lobbying for it. He's not putting out ballots, or he's not actually calling people and asking them. But, I think that he wants people to do that so he could feel that, he's superior and he has the more people on his side or within any organization he's trying. But we have to understand that the IFOCE is the forefront of competitive eating. And I personally would not want to be with any other organization except MLE.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
I've had so many new opportunities through them. I'm feeling indebted to them because I feel like I had never been to New York before. I had always wanted to go. Now I've been.
Other people have said that. Many people have said that. Like, Mr. Wells, forgot his name, Damon Wells. Yeah. And a number of other people that are on the West Coast never been to New York until the Nathan's contest. So tell us a little about that.
It was wonderful. I was so excited to go the first year. I was so excited to go the second year.
Oh, that's great.
All the touristy stuff in.
Great.
2 years. So the third year I was excited in a different way because then I got to kind of chill and just explore without feeling so rushed to see everything.
Right, and they fixed up the boardwalk, Nathan's and Coney Island. It's looking a lot better now.
I was so excited to see that, and you know what? My big disappointment every year is I always want to go on the roller coasters at Coney Island, but you can't do it before the contest. You don't want to be a little bit nauseated, and you can't do it afterwards because you're going to explode on the ride.
Exactly. But I'll tell you, if I might share like a brief story with you, Michelle, when I was a little kid, because I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, so I've basically lived here all my life. I just moved out to Jersey. But Coney Island was like the place to be in the summertime. I mean, nobody, you didn't travel out, unless you were the elite and you had some bucks. You went out to Florida and hung out there, or California, which was rare. But most of the people that were born in Brooklyn, they stayed in there. And if they hit the beach, it would be Brighton Beach, which is right near Coney Island. But I remember going to Nathan's, and the hot dogs were like 3 times the size of what you see now. And I think they must have been no more than 25 cents.
Man, like, it would be really nice to get some of those deals nowadays. I know that some restaurants do their whole, like, it's our birthday, we're going to throw back to old prices, but...
Oh, that'll be nice. That'll be great. The French fries were, I can't even describe the taste of them back in the days. It was just something that they probably could never replicate, but still, I would rather have a Nathan's hot dog than any other hot dog in the world. I mean, there's just nothing like it. I've tried them all, the Ballpark, Hebrew National, Sabre. It just, Nathan's has that crispiness to it, that magic touch, right?
Yeah, I really like them, and it's funny because people are always like, you probably never want to see a hot dog again, and I'm like, I kind of like them. I could go for another one right now.
No, you don't want them right after you've done a big practice of 30 or 40. Then you're like, oh God, this is.
The next day, you're like, I could eat another one.
Right.
But it wears off.
But then the next day, you're like, well, give me another hot dog, man, right?
Exactly. It's just after 10, the flavor isn't always so appealing, and after 20, it kind of is less so. I don't know. I'm glad that they're cased because I feel like that helps contain some of the flavor where during times when you maybe don't want the flavor as much.
Exactly right. I want to touch base just briefly on your hot dog techniques. I'm gonna talk to Mickey about that when I get her on. Hopefully when she gets on the show, because a lot of people out there really want to know. A lot of the new competitors or people that are just starting out. There's a bunch of different ways to eat hot dogs, and some of the top eaters have credited me for their success, like Aaron A-Train Ostov says that the coaching that I had bestowed upon him worked so well that's the reason why he's getting in. And then you might wonder, well, hey, Brian never gets to the finals. And, he only puts away a certain amount of hot dogs per year. I think his maximum is about 15. So who is he to give? Well, to be honest with you, the best, the worst eaters sometimes are the best judges. Same way in professional football, where the not so great guys that played were the best coaches in the world, or some that never played or never got out on the field. So my method was always the bun with the hot dog together at the same time, and just take three repetitive, with the liquid, to dip it in the liquid 3 times, and that's it. And then go on to the next one. That's the rhythm. It works for some. It doesn't work for others.
Yeah, see, I struggle with that because I feel like my throat is relatively narrow. So I definitely have to separate dog from bun because I don't want to choke. I think there hasn't been one single competition where I haven't choked for at least a couple seconds.
Right.
So it's always kind of a struggle in, am I going to die today if I try something new? But the two dog, two bun thing doesn't work for me. When I try to swallow 2 dogs side by side, my throat tends to close up and freak out and kind of back them up and let them go through one by one.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely been a struggle trying to figure out what works best for me, where I can get the least liquid and the fastest speed and the most dogs. So.
Well, from what I was told, there's not actually what I was told, but what I've seen is that there's 2 methods. One is the Solomon method, and there's the other one, the 2 dog, 2 bun, which doesn't actually have a name attached to it. But the Solomon is the method that most of the eaters use Not the great eaters. They go with the 2-bun, 2-dog method. Solomon is basically, for those of you that are out there that are unfamiliar with it, you take one hot dog, snap it in half, eat it, take one bun with the other hand, immerse that into the liquid, smash that into your mouth, and that acts as the sponge to get the hot dog down. The 2 hot dog bun method, that's for supposedly for the more experienced, but some claim they don't recommend it because it really dampens the taste after a certain amount of time. So if you're in there for like 12 minutes and you're neck and neck with someone, it's gonna take like a whole 2 minutes to get that last hot dog down, especially if you're putting up big numbers. I don't know if I noticed that when you eat hot dogs, you don't break the hot dog in half. You take the one whole hot dog, put it in your mouth, and then with the other hand you use that. You take that and you put that into liquid, and then that softens them down, right?
Yeah, I can't break it in half, like for the same reason I was just saying. My throat won't let 2 side-by-side hot dog pieces go through. So, yeah, I definitely can't do either of those methods, which I think is a bad thing, but also not so much right now. I think later on in my career it'll affect me more. But right now I'm just worried about trying to find a pace that works and keep that consistently. The last 2 minutes is always hard to keep your throat functioning in the same way for some reason. Like the gulping method that you can use in the beginning, like my throat kind of wears out and
exactly right
on that later on. So
right now the 2 hot dog 2 bun method. Let me just make mention that never break those hot dogs in half, or it's gonna. It's like your brain's going to tell you you're eating 4 at a time, even though you're really only eating 2. Yeah. So that is just like, take those 2 dogs, get them down, and then grab the 2 buns or actually, no, it's 1 bun. I don't think it's 2 buns at a time. So it's actually get those 2 down, 1 bun, and soften that bun, because if you're going to take 2 buns with one hand with the other hand while you're ingesting those 2 hot dogs, it's going to be just too much for you. So it's actually 2 dogs and then 1 bun with it. 1 bun that's softened. So whatever. I mean, it all boils down to capacity, though. I mean, that's the bottom line. If you have the capacity and along with the technique, you're going to go places at the table. No doubt about it.
And I've been fighting my capacity and trying to get it bigger, but I know that compared to someone like Nicky Sudo or Joey Chestnut or Bob Shout, my capacity is so limited. So I try to do better in the competitions like wings and ribs, and getting my numbers closer to theirs.
Well, hell, man, you did 30 already. I mean, that's awesome. I mean,
that's me fighting for 3 years to get there too.
Wow.
Increasing hot dog numbers is really difficult.
I mean, if I could get to 20, I mean, I'll throw a party for everybody on Facebook and my other friends or whatever, and that's and people wonder, well, the people that are not involved in competitive eating, they say to themselves, well, like, why do you care so much if you get to a certain? You don't realize what an achievement that is. It's like being able to getting into the gym and bench press 400 pounds when your limit is like 280 or 300. You've achieved a tremendous.
It's about a personal record. I think that's the driving force behind a lot of us. Like, obviously, there's that hope that you beat other people at the table. But for me, if I lose to someone that I've never lost to before, that's less disappointing to me than if I lose to my own personal best. Like, if my numbers go down from one year to the next, I'm bummed. But if someone beats me, good for them. I need to train harder.
Exactly, like those people on the show called The Biggest Loser. They strive to lose a tremendous amount of weight, and it's for personal reasons, and because they want to show the world that they can do something, that they can achieve their goals. And in the antithesis of that, which is competitive eating, that's just the opposite. People want to strive to become the greatest eater in the world, or the greatest eater at a certain food category, and that's how it is with hot dogs.
Yeah, what's crazy? One of my goals is to maybe someday win a contest, but I don't feel like I'm ever going to be the best in the world. And maybe it's that mentality that's holding me probably not. I think that there are just people who are legitimately better. I think beating them every once in a while would be really fun, but I beat Joey Chestnut in ribs a couple years ago, but I realized that was last year. I realized that was a shortened contest. The ribs changed last minute. It was a speed run, and I just edged him out by I think 2/10 of an ounce or something ridiculous like that. So it happens every once in a while. It's just shocking and amazing, but I would never say that I'm better at ribs than Joey Chestnut. I know that he's still it was just kind of it was a good day for me.
Well, sometimes I wonder with him. I don't know if I should say this, that maybe once in a while, he sort of holds back a little bit and gives someone else a chance to sort of try to catch him. But no, I don't think that's the.
No, I think he's pretty competitive, so I wouldn't see him doing that. But I think that there are definitely days where he's more prepared for himself and less prepared for himself.
Right.
Got him on a less prepared day.
The only reason I say that was a former champion. I'm sure you remember Ed Cookie Jarvis. He was one of the legends of the sport. He was actually one of the forefronts of the. They called him the Babe Ruth of competitive eating before Joey came along and all the other guys. And he was winning title after title, and this was during the lean years of the sport. And it was almost like, most of his competitors were saying to themselves, is he going to show up again and again? So I think one time he had mentioned to me, he said that George Shea told him, I think it was via a text or the telephone, listen, can you do us a favor? Just sit out a couple of them to give someone else a chance. I thought that was funny,
Yeah, and I guess that makes sense because you want to keep that hype up around other people and not have it become just the Joey Chestnut show, but I think nowadays it's a pretty good contest. Stoney has Joey on his toes. Mickey's right up there with both of them. They're all just fantastic eaters, all three of them. So
it's constantly kicking somebody's ass at Monopoly or chess or cards, right? And it was funny because when I was a kid, I would go up against some of my older uncles, and they showed no mercy. They just beat the hell out of me in chess or checkers or freaking dominoes or whatever. And then, the wife would hold him back and say, listen, let the kid go easy on the kid. He said, no. I was taught to go for the kill, and that's what I'm and that's how it should be. I mean, there's the eye of the tiger in the sport. Nobody's letting up. Everybody's friends before they get to the table, and when you get to the table, we become fierce enemies, and that's how it should be. Because it's everyone's focused on winning and taking and trying to get as far as they can and grab that title. And with that intensity, you'll go places.
Yeah, and I love that everyone's still able to be friends regardless of the outcome. I know that some people, because we are all so competitive, so some people after a loss kind of go their own way momentarily and I guess recoup and kind of find their zen place and then come back into it. But
well, it's sort of hard to have a couple of drinks with a whole bunch of guys after you finish dead last. But
no one looks to that. I love the dynamic because it's always how did you do? How did you feel at the table? And we're all kind of even par. So even when I was coming in with numbers way lower than other people, I could still talk to them about, in this moment this happened, or that I sliced the roof of my mouth with one of the wings, or because you're all experiencing the same hell.
No, I understand, right.
Soldiers on the battlefield afterwards, where it doesn't matter who had the most kills; it just matters that you're all there. And
oh, absolutely, it's all about the camaraderie and how everybody gets along and stuff like that, and that's what makes the sport so great, and that's what makes it so entertaining. So that's great. So we'll be seeing you at hopefully seeing you at Coney Island this year again.
I hope so. I'm set to go to a qualifier on May 31st, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay, and now which qualifier is that? So we could let everyone.
Bloomingdale, Illinois, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Illinois.
Okay, so Michelle will be in Bloomingdale on what was that a gate?
May 31st.
May 31st. Okay, it's a couple of days after Labor Day, so not Labor Day, excuse me, Memorial Day. I'm getting bad lately. So
I'm excited about that trip because Ritz in Chicago come up on June 6th, and in between time, I'm hoping to go out to Taco in a Bag and work for Tim and Pat in their little restaurant.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm excited about that. I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, the taco on the go, right?
Taco in a bag.
Taco in a bag. Yeah, I'm. And Michelle, like yourself, where this is the first. You had never been to New York until last year, or the year before. I myself have never been. Unfortunately, I've never had the privilege of being on the West Coast, going out to California. And I'd love to visit Chicago.
Contests out there. That's the bummer part.
Yeah, that's. I had my chance back in 2001, like right before the 9/11, to be a participant in the Glutton Bowl. But for some reason that fell through, and I didn't get a chance to go out to L.A. I heard L.A. is awesome. So to this day, it's sad to say, at my age, I still have not been to Los Angeles.
The Gyoza contest is out there, and that's always such a fun event.
That's the one I wanted to get into. When I saw the airfare, I was like, whoa. I mean, just like blew me away. So I saw.
That's the hard part. That's why I don't hit a lot of East Coast contests, but I'm taking advantage of it while I'm out here with my sister. So.
Well, it was great that we were able to see you out in Maryland last week on the big war at the shore on Mother's Day. Fantastic.
That was fun. And Mickey Sudo is kind of my travel buddy, so we've seen a lot of extra stuff along the way.
Oh, that's great. That is fantastic. It's not only is it good to have a travel buddy, but a travel buddy that can eat as well. I mean, the both of you are superstars on the sport, and the fact that you're both good friends makes it even more worth its weight. That's what I always said about the IFOCE. If, regardless of how you eat or how you finish or fare in a contest, if you've made some really good friends or some positive acquaintances, that's all that counts, really.
Yeah, and there are so many good people. Like you said, the Off, Heather and Aaron.
Yeah, he's a good guy,
awesome.
man.
I'm really excited that they're going to New York this year. Nice people. There were some genuinely really nice people. Bella and Booker, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Just so many really nice people.
Well, also the fact that some people that cannot afford to come out to New York because of their living situation or their budget or being out of work, and being able to get to be able to make it into Nathan's and qualify for the finals and get in, on an actually a free ride, a paid trip, is even more worthwhile. I just.
So awesome.
Yeah. Michelle, let's touch base now, because I think we've kept you long enough. I do appreciate, your time here. It's very valuable.
Can I mention my fundraiser real quick?
Oh, sure, man.
So my goal this year is to eat 33 hot dogs at Coney Island, assuming that I make it there. But along with that, I always try to tie it into a fundraising goal. And it tends to be with an organization called Charity Water, which builds wells in places that need it.
Absolutely.
Sanitary latrines and stuff. So
I wanted to touch base on that. All the charitable organizations that you've dealt with, please continue.
Oh, yeah. So Charity Water, it builds wells in places that need it for people who are walking miles and miles to get even just dirty, contaminated water. And it gives them a chance to have fresh water and more time on their hands to do other things like plant gardens and working jobs and go to school, especially for the young girls. So it's a really cool organization with a really great mission. Mm-hmm. So my goal this year is to help raise enough money to get 33 people Water for Life tied to my 33 hot dogs that I'm trying to eat at Coney Island.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're about halfway there right now, so it's really exciting. But for me, it's such a big deal because when you sit there, I know that you've done practice runs for hot dogs too, mm-hmm. and you probably can attest to this, but a minute in to the practice run, you're just like, this is stupid. What am I doing? This is the worst thing ever. What am I doing with my life? This is horrible.
Depends on how hungry you are also.
I've ever made.
Well, at my age, I'm just hoping I'm closest to a phone as possible. Because if I go into cardiac arrest, I want to get 911 down here. So if they could get here within 5 minutes, that's I've achieved my goal, man.
Exactly. You're always looking for the chair to do the Heimlich maneuver on. But yeah, so doing the fundraisers along with it, like when I know that we've reached the fundraising goal and that people are like joining me in this effort, I'll do a filmed practice run, and then I know that they're watching. I know that they've helped me out in such a big way and helping bring clean water to people. So then I have a reason to eat for 10 minutes, and it's so much easier mentally to do it when you have a motivation. I did one practice run earlier this year before anyone had donated, and I kind of just you could see it in my face when I gave up, and I was just like, I'm going to stop, and then I'm like, I'll just sit here and kind of chill and eat. But it was definitely not a successful run. I think I ate 23 hot dogs. I just completely gave up. It was terrible. But
to me, that would have been, I would have felt like I hit the lotto if I ate 23, man. That's great, man. But I understand where you're coming from, because you've set that goal in the past and you're trying to get a lot better. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, Michelle, let the fans out there know, or the listeners, the website address and the link.
Definitely. So it's my.charitywater.org/hotdogsforhealth.
Okay, great. And they can link, they can log on to that site, and then they could actually make a donation from that link itself, right?
Yeah, and every dollar helps. I try to thank everyone who joins me in the effort in a lot of different ways, and one of those ways is I have a website, cardboardshell.weebly.com.
Okay.
I have a special thanks section where I continually update it every time someone donates, so that they can be kind of honored in that way. It's kind of my wall of thanks.
Well, you could count on my donation as soon as we get off this phone here. That is an awesome. That is great. What you're doing. There's nothing better than trying to make this world a better world, and to help people that are unfortunately don't have the resources that we have, and we're not blessed with, 2 arms, 2 legs, a brain, and a mouth, and whatever. I mean, it's charity is awesome, and anyone that's involved with that is even more awesome.
I agree, and I can't thank the people who donate enough. It's so amazing to me that so many people join in and help out with the efforts, and a lot of other eaters have donated in the past and have even started their own fundraisers. I think Nestle and Philly are doing a fundraiser tied to their nations.
Absolutely.
Helping guide dogs. So
I got a question for you though, and just tell me if you agree with me on this aspect. There's been a lot of talk about feeding the hungry, and competitive eating is totally evil, because there are so many people out there starving, and we're going out there stuffing our faces. Now, my thing is, I can see where you have some sort of a valid point in that aspect, but it's not like, the vendors are supplying food to us, and then we're actually taking that food and tossing it into a garbage can or a garbage compactor or whatever. We're eating the food. We're consuming the food. Now, I could understand if, let's say, for instance, this was instead of competitive eating, it was competitive throwing out food. The person that could toss out as much food that is presented to them fast enough in a compactor, that is where they have that valid point of, we're wasting food. So I don't know. I just can't figure that out. Do you have any opinion on that?
I do, because I've looked into the issue a lot, and I love that competitive eating brings that up, that people start thinking about global hunger, and I think that's huge and that's important, and I know that Nathan donates a lot every year. But the funny thing is to me is that the people who complain the most are the people who have never donated, never volunteered.
There you go, exactly.
And if they looked into it, they would know that it's not a global food shortage that causes world hunger, but it's a distribution problem. So it's that the people who are hungry don't have access to food most of the time. Like, it's not that they don't have food near them and other people are eating them, it's that food's not getting to them. So if they started looking into that and trying to raise money to help with that infrastructure problem and helping send experts out to help people in other countries figure out how to keep their land fertile and grow foods and grow staples in the best way, then I think that would be a huge difference.
Sure. I mean, we're consuming the food. It's just that, there's so much we can eat. And if there's any food left over from what we have just consumed, then that's not wasting. As a matter of fact, if there was a meeting of the minds between the sponsors and these so-called, these so-called activist groups that claim that we're wasting food, I'm sure that a number of sponsors would be more than happy to donate some of that food that we did not eat at the table. Remember, I'm not talking about, some of the crap that came out of our mouths after we were eating, or even the food that was actually the plates that were put in front of us, but the food that we didn't even get a chance to touch.
And see, it's not even that big a deal in the long run, because like I said, Nathan does donate like 100,000 hot dogs, something like that, or 10,000 to the food banks around them.
Absolutely, they should make these people that want to talk a lot of whatever, what. They should be made aware of that situation.
Well, they should just keep in mind that, like, restaurants, the amount of food that restaurants throw out at the end of the day, like buffet places or whether they be regular restaurants, because they can't, like, just quality-wise, they can't keep it. That's so much more than one contest. That's so much more than our annual contest.
Absolutely.
So they're making this big show, and I completely understand, because I do realize how fortunate we are to have this opportunity and to be lucky enough to be born in a place where this is a possibility rather than not having water. Like, that's why I try to do my fundraisers, is because I know how lucky I am. But I think that the people who complain about competitive eating completely need to educate themselves on the issues and the amount of waste that happens in other places.
Right, because they're making accusations that are far-fetched. I mean, if they get to the root of the issue of that, then maybe we can understand what they're trying to convey to us. But by just coming out and saying that people are starving to death, okay, but where do we come in? I mean, it's... In
a perfect world for me, those people would take that anger and take that outrage and they would do something positive with it.
Exactly.
Rather than just complaining. Like, I really hope that someone decides to finally someday put their money where their mouth is, but a lot of times it's just not the case, and it kind of... It makes me laugh and it makes me sad all at the same time, because the most vocal people tend to be, like, in my opinion, not real good people. Not the people who are trying to make a difference.
Exactly. And
tear others down.
You actually bring up some good points. I just want to touch base very, very quickly on vegans. They are completely against anything involving competitive eating, specifically if we're dealing with carnivorous meat eaters or whatever. Do you find their views to be correct, politically correct, or it's sort of a touchy subject. I should probably say for another interview, but
for me, I guess it depends on the individual, because people are vegans for different reasons. Some people think it's the healthy way to go. Some people are concerned about the animals, and I think some of those people have valid points. I know that, like, the poultry industry a lot of times is not, the best and the most humane to their animals. I can understand the validity of those points.
Right.
I'm a total omnivore. Like, I feel like people are meant to be omnivores. I think that what they're doing is fine for them, but I think that it's a personal decision, and the advocacy I understand in them trying to express why they're doing it and see if other people want to be on board, but the people who get really condescending and angry about other people not choosing to see the world their way, those are the people I tend to have a problem with. Is, like, do your thing, advocate all you want, tell me your reasons, maybe you'll change my mind, but you probably won't, and so don't get upset when that happens.
Exactly. Now,
I love chicken wings. I love ribs. I can't, not eat those.
It's very, very hard to make that transition if you've been a meat eater all your life and then decide to go vegan or vegetarian.
These are so many more important issues, and I'm not saying those aren't important issues. I'm sure everyone has their heart in the right place when they are concerned about those things, but to me, there are so many more important issues I'd rather spend my time and energy dedicated to.
Right, but a lot of them are very elusive. They won't get to the point of why they're actually vegans. Is it because, they want to eat healthy, or is it just because of the, animals being slaughtered? It's like the worst thing in the world. So, if it's one or the other, I can understand what's going on. But it's like you said, you have to be born. Either you're born a meat eater, or you've been eating like vegetables all your life, and that's your thing. As far as health aspects of it, it hasn't been proven yet as to whether or not the vegan lifestyle will increase your lifespan. There are some, there have been some points brought out about it, but that remains to be seen.
I'd rather have a shorter life filled with meat than a longer life filled with vegetables.
That's what I keep saying. You have people that smoke 30, 40 years and they get away with it. So it's all like, it's all like the luck of the draw, man.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Michelle, I want to thank you very much for being on this podcast. It was a joy having you. You've enlightened the fans a bit. And, the beauty about the podcast that I'm not working under a shotgun aspect where it's an actual radio station with sponsors. There's no time limit. You could go on as long as you want. And I think we've gone on. I'd love to stay with you for another 3-4 hours, but I think we've covered almost every gamut of the competitive eating and how you got started and your fundraisers. It's just fantastic, man.
Well, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. So we will be seeing you at the next qualifier in May 31st, and what do you have planned after that?
I have pepperoni rolls before that, and I have
in West Virginia, right?
After that.
Absolutely. Great. Michelle, thanks again. And hopefully maybe we could have you on in the future. There's no reason it's just a one-shot thing. We love return visitors, and especially ones that have so much to say and have so much insight on the sport and on people in general. Thanks again, Michelle.
All right, thank you. Talk to you later.
Okay. Hold on one. Well, there you have it. Isn't she fantastic? I mean, she is a gem. I could spend hours with Michelle LESCO on the phone. She just keeps you enlightened, entertained, and that positive energy flowing all over the place. Anyhow, thanks for tuning in, fans. Great having you guys. We'll be back next week, hopefully with Mickey Sudo. Sure, that should be quite entertaining. Number 4 ranked eater in the world. And stay hungry, stay focused, and more importantly, stay healthy. See you soon.